are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
Come on, it's time, bitches. This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. We are back. It is still Monday, September 2nd, Labor Day. If you enjoyed your day off today, make sure you thank a union.
A
union labor. We're back, man. I'm ready to talk about so much NFL because there is a ton to talk about. We just got done doing a fantasy football draft. I had the first round pick. Breece Hall went 1-1. Yeah, a labor union is what I was trying to say. Vanilla Gorilla hopping back in here. If you guys just joined us, thank you for coming back. If you were not in the last one, thank you for hopping in. We got a ton of shit to talk about. Evo, my man, how you doing? I know we just talked, but are you ready for this show? Because we got a lot of stuff to go over.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm chilling now. I'm actually having a beer now. We did Sexy Tours Shotguns on the last little episode while the draft was going on, but I needed to be focused for that, so I couldn't have any sort of alcohol inhibitions or anything like that. So now I can relax, have a little sip here. Legal Ham, what's happening? Glad to see you in here. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, happy with how the draft went. Like, you said you're super confident in your team because
I am.
You know you got to be once you pick them. I'm confident in my team, but I'm always second guessing myself. And I think it's part of doing so many. Like, I feel like I have probably done close to like 50 mock drafts, like in preparation for it, where I will intentionally like pick players that I normally wouldn't in the first couple spots to see how it just plays out for me.
Right.
So, look, the sixth pick is considered like one of the top 2 worst picks in this draft statistically.
It's not great.
And as much as you dislike pick number 1, pick 1 is one of the stronger picks statistically in this draft.
Yeah, so pick 1 is great and all. I like going back to back. I like having the first overall pick, but it's so tough when the projected number 1 is the guy that was the number 1 last year. We know that those fantasy guys, they very rarely repeat as number 1 overall fantasy producer. So I wasn't going CMC. I went Breece Hall. I'm betting on Aaron Rodgers to probably stay healthy. Would it be out of the possibilities that he pops his opposite of Achilles because of the other Achilles injury? No, we've learned through some concerted research that it's more likely that you pop the other one after the first one. So that would be terrible. But I'm betting that he's going to stay mostly healthy because Breece Hall was a fucking dog last year with terrible quarterback play, with Jimmys and Joes from fucking who knows where. If he has Aaron Rodgers healthy, he's going to be a dog. So I'm happy with 1-1. But I got him at 1-3 as well.
If you're taking a running back with that first pick, Breece Hall is probably the safest out of all of them. CMC, close to 30, if not 30. He's not going to produce. Like, he could still be the number 1 running back this year, but it's never happened where a player has produced as good as they did last year if they're top in the league. So you're getting like diminishing returns at that point if you kind of look at it that way. But chances of re-injury and stuff like that are absolutely there. Bijan, who I love, I think he's a fucking stud. We just don't know what this offense is going to look like. Zach Robinson is coming over, and he is coming from that McVay tree where regardless of if they have a starter, a top number 1 starter, they still do a platoon system, which means Algier is going to get some touches. All right. And for all we know, they're going to be pass heavy, and Kirk is going to be out there slinging it to the receivers and stuff like that, and not as much to Bijan. Even though I really like Bijan, I think he's going to have a great year. But the safest guy there is Breece Hall because, yeah, if Aaron's good this year, Breece is going to probably have a great year. If he's not, the backup quarterback situation is way better there now with Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod can go out there and absolutely still play and be a starter.
He can win you games, man. Tyrod at one point was a starter in this league, should have stayed a starter, and then got his lung punctured by a
if you're a Charger fan, like,
I'm sure, yes,
the Herbert,
accelerated the Herbert process, but didn't lose the job because he was doing bad.
Yeah, but Bajan without Aaron Rodgers still had a stud year. All right. So you know that without quarterback production, he can still produce and be good. And they've upgraded the offensive line. It's not great, but it is better than it was last year. Like everything is set up there for Brees Hall to have a very good year. So like I props to you for having the balls to take that, as the one overall pick. It would have, if I was in the same position, it would have been Bajan or Brees, and more closer to a coin flip. I think I like Bijan a little bit better, just for whatever reason. I can't necessarily quantify it, but
The
that,
fucking
I,
overhead drone shots. That's
that's
exactly why you like Bijan more.
maybe, but I like him more as an NFL player in general, even though I like both of them in the NFL. Like, but for fantasy, I think the safer bet probably is Brees Hall. And I said it during our last little stream. You don't win your fantasy league with your first round pick, but you can absolutely lose it. So a high upside player that also is safe, which I believe Brees to be, is a super solid pick. Um, but anyways, fantasy episode, we just finished wrapping that up. If anyone wants to, after this stream, jump over there, check that one out, see how we did. Give us all the criticisms that you want in the comments by all means. We'll see how it turns out by the end of the year. I already started looking at some of our other league mates and their teams, and there's a couple stinkers in there, I think, and a couple teams that I'm like, yeah, these guys are going to be pretty fucking strong.
Yeah,
So
we'll
see
I
how
was
it goes.
looking at my projections for week 1. I feel okay so far with what I got going. I've been screwed in this league a couple of times, I feel like. COVID really fucked me one year out of a championship. So, and then DeMar Hamlin had a bad time one time, and I also lost a playoff game because of that.
Okay.
But so I'm looking to get some redemption and maybe win this motherfucker.
Cool. Well, either way, it is a new NFL season. You can see things look a little bit new here in the lounge.
Yes, they
Some
do.
new overlays. My signal's going out.
Yeah, your signal is going out. Yeah, the new overlays look awesome. So at the bottom, you guys can see that you have our X at Lineman Lounge, Facebook. You can get up to our group, TikTok, and the call line. Phone lines are currently open. So if you want to call into the show, call 216-800-7223. And as Evo was saying, you can watch our beautiful faces on that YouTube channel. Go over there, watch the shows, subscribe, like the channel, and share with your friends. We would greatly appreciate it. But with that, Evo, it looks like you might be starting to come back a little bit.
I don't know. It just says connection's unstable, so we'll see.
All right. Well, I can at least hear you now, so that is a positive from where we were. We're ready to start diving into what this show is going to be about for today.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, man. So, where do you want to start? I know you went through a ton of work building out the entire schedule. Do you want to go through and start with a specific division? You want to save our divisions for last?
I'm just going to work through AFC and then NFC, just kind of the way that it's generally laid out. I don't think we need to save our divisions for last or anything like that. But for everybody, we're going to show you both what my projections are for each team, Mike's projections, and what the Vegas odds essentially are, or where they're putting all of these teams at as far as the win-loss totals. So if you want to go out and bet those, I think Mike's going to shout out what the actual spreads are for those. But we got those that we're going to be popping up on the screen as well. But both Mike and I went through all 272 regular season games and plotted this out. So we weren't just like, the Bills seem like a fucking 13 and 4 team or something like that, without actually looking at the schedule and plotting all this out. Now I did it a little bit more of the difficult way with an Excel spreadsheet with all this shit.
Yeah, you did went way harder than I did.
And Mike used a program in order to figure it out. Mine took me like 3 hours, and Mike's seemed like it took you less than 30 minutes.
So it took me about 30-45 minutes, because when you get in those late season games, I had to start really considering, man, what weather might be like.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I did give considerations to that. It was very interesting to me how this turned out because I wasn't like this is a lock for a playoff team and this is a lock and that's how I'm going to go into it. I literally took it game by game,
Same.
and projected out what things are going to look like. So it's interesting how it turned out. After roster baiting. Well, I'm holding off on the roster baiting as much as I can until after the show. But Joe, I don't like your team. I'm just gonna
Oh
say it
no.
now. Too many 49ers. You'll get to see what our projections here are for the 49ers here though shortly if you stick around. But I guess with that we can go ahead and start throwing this up
Oh yeah, man. Let's
right
do it.
now. All right, so AFC East is what we're going to start off with. You've got the Vegas projections and then my projections of how the seasons go. So Bills I've got at 10-7, Dolphins also at 10-7, Jets 9-8, and the Patriots 1-6. A really abysmal year for those Patriots. I have a way worse projection than Vegas does there for the Patriots, but everything else is generally close and in line with kind of what Vegas is projecting there. Interested to see what you got here, Mike.
I actually have quite a bit different here. I expect this division to be better, better than expected. Very, very competitive division, but that's also because they get to play the Patriots a lot. So for this division, I have the Dolphins at 13-4, the Bills at 11-6, and the Jets at 11-6.
All right. And how about them Patriots?
Patriots, I have very similar to what you have. I gave them an extra game. I got them at 2-15.
All right, all right. And for everyone's knowledge, you're going to get to see who actually makes it to the playoffs and not. For me, these 10-7 teams, obviously they are fighting for first in the AFC East. But I got, like I said, with my matrix breaking down all the playoff slots and how everything rolls out. I had to get into conference play and stuff like that to see who actually was seated where. Um, and I wouldn't say that being 10-7 for both the Dolphins and the Bills, it's not that either of them are necessarily bad teams. It's tough schedules and a tough division in general. I mean, you've got three of those teams hovering right around that 10-win time frame, which is or not time frame, but 10-win total, which is generally where Vegas has things projected. 9.5 wins for both Miami and the Jets, and 10.5 for the Bills. So we're pretty close on our projections there. Ready to.
I'm bullish on the Dolphins, obviously here. Compared to where everything else is. Bills, I'm right around. I got them over. Jets, I'm high because I think Aaron Rodgers will probably end up staying healthy, even though I know you fucking hate that.
Yeah.
But this division has a potential to score so many points. Mike McDaniel's just got his contract. He's going to be there for a long time. Nobody in the AFC makes the playoffs unless they're 11-6.
And
for everything that for all of my projections, 11-6 is the requirement to get into the playoffs.
wow. All right. Well, look for me. I think the Bills that it is going to be interesting to see what happens with that offense. Just because they don't have Stephon Diggs now, it's going to be a little bit of a new identity, really more on Josh Allen's shoulders. And can some of those other wide receiver pieces that they brought in there put together a competent offense? At the end of the day, I have the Dolphins as being kind of a better team, especially offensively. I'm not so sure about the defense, but offensively, they're going to be, good like they were last year. There's going to probably be a regression, but not to the point that they're like not a good offense. The problem is the Dolphins tail off towards the end of the year, especially when they're having to play cold weather games and things like that. And that's where I have some of those projections. Like they start off well and they tail off a little bit more towards the end, putting them here in what is second place for my AFC rankings, despite having a 10-7 record.
Okay. All right.
And with the Jets also still right there, but they ain't making the playoffs in mine. And this was, agnostic of if Aaron Rodgers is in there or not, because I do believe that they have a very good defense, Hassan Reddick playing or not, that can keep them in games. And then with Breece Hall, with the offensive weapons that they have in Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Tyler Conklin, and a Tyrod Taylor having to play, they can still go out there and win games. So moving on, AFC North. AFC North, I've got Baltimore, and this is, I know,
That's all
Interesting
right.
for you
All right.
with the Brownies there, but Baltimore, another really good team. They get Derrick Henry in there, which I don't think Derrick Henry is going to blow the roof off like a lot of people and fans of the Ravens expect. But he's a good running back. He's the most solid running back that they've had there in a while because things have just been injury prone for Baltimore in that backfield constantly. Henry, yeah, he's older, but he is a workhorse. This is a team that is set up to be really strong to the run with Lamar Jackson and with Zay Flowers being able to do end rounds and stuff like that there. And then you add in Derrick Henry. I like what they have going there. They're a team that's built to go into those late winter months and still compete. It'll be interesting to see if the defense is still as good as they were with their coordinator now moving over to Seattle. But 12-5 for the Browns, or excuse me, for the Ravens, 11-6 for the Browns. And then Bengals 10-7. So the Browns, Vegas does not have them as high of win totals
That's
as we're kind
fine.
of looking here.
That's
But
fine. Let me give you the odds right now on the Browns. So 8.5 over under from FanDuel. You can get that at minus 138. So you could hammer 9 wins for the Browns at minus 138. That feels like a really fucking easy bet to hit.
and that I think a lot of those projections are what happens with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, understand.
And I am on the side of I don't think he's that good anymore. I just don't. Now you guys were able to do a lot of good things without him last year, and a whole heap of other quarterbacks, which I don't think you have 4 on the roster anymore.
We do not.
Which was interesting.
Tyler Huntley is now back in Baltimore.
Mhm. Former Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley, right?
Yes. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. But either way, I have this as a super competitive division. Even the Steelers being there at 9-8 are competitive to an extent. Not as good as Bengals, Browns, and Ravens, but they're going to be competitive and makes the AFC North a very tough division to compete with. So where are you at on your record here?
So we are actually very close. So for me, I got the Browns at 12-5, the Ravens at 11-6, the Bengals at 9-8, and the Steelers at 9-8.
8. All righty.
Obviously, I'm bullish on my Browns. I like this Browns squad. I think Deshaun, if he plays average quarterback play, 30, and I've said the numbers and I'll say them again. If he throws for 3,500 yards and 25 touchdowns and plays 17 games, this team is talented enough to win this division and win 12 games. Our schedule's not that fucking tough. We could get a massive roll early in the season, and then as the season and the schedule gets tougher, we get Nick Chubb back. I believe we can go on an absolute tear. The Ravens are going to be good. Lamar was last year's MVP for a reason. He is a fucking phenomenal football player. Derrick Henry, I don't know how much tread is left on those tires, but it's enough with Lamar to cause a lot of problems.
To me, it's been better. Like, again, it's the backfield's better than it has been in a long time because you have J.K. Dobbins and guys like that just Gus Edwards. They're decent because it is a run heavy offense, former Greg Roman offense. And then things kind of fall apart because those running backs go down with injury constantly. Henry, I think, absolutely, if he's able to stay healthy, is going to rejuvenate that run game for the whole year. He brings a different element. And overall, I don't think that Ravens team got worse this offseason. If anything, they got the same or a little bit better, especially with bringing in a guy like Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I understand how that they are a very good team still. They did lose pieces. Still, the offense, they're going to have to be able to throw the ball. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe they're just going to run it down everybody's throat with Derrick Henry the entire time. I'm interested to see what their offense looks like. They have to get leads, though, if they're going to play that offense. And that could potentially bleed them some games. So, but either way, I still got the Bengals and I got the Steelers 9-8, both missing the playoffs at my projections. And I love the fact that I got the Steelers at 9-8 because that means that Tomlin will be back and they'll be in just a perpetual state of hell, going fucking 9-8, and you can't fire him.
Well, that's the thing is I was happy when my projection ended to be like, okay, well, they still have a positive win record,
Yeah.
which the streak continues, and Tomlin's stay there in Pittsburgh possibly continues. I mean, things might be coming towards the end of their lifespan where they mutually part ways. I know we've talked about that before,
Yeah.
as a possibility, and I still think that's on the table. But uh, the winning record continues. All right, and as far as my playoffs, I'll show that more towards the end. But I have more than one team making it into the playoffs from the AFC North. All right, next up, AFC South. I got the Texans. Bullish on the Texans. I got them going 12-5, a lot better than what Vegas has them projected. Look, I thought they were a good team last year. I think they've only gotten. I think the longer that D'Amico is there as the head coach, things are going to continue looking good. I also have the Jaguars 11-6. I think that this was one of those sleeper teams last year that was really good until Lawrence got hurt, and that definitely derailed things. That high ankle sprain or knee sprain derailed things a little bit. I think they have better wide receiver talent there. Getting rid of Calvin Ridley doesn't bother me at all. Bringing in Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr., it's a better fleshed out wide receiver room there for Lawrence to work with. And I think that, their schedule is not particularly tough. So I think that they're going to continue to be competitive. Injuries could obviously derail things again, but I'm more bullish on them than Vegas is as well. Colts 6-11. I think they're going to hit those slumps with Richardson, as he's kind of figuring out how to be a quarterback again.
Right.
We've talked about this before. It's kind of like a
second rookie year,
for
I'm
him.
pretty sure.
And we're going to see some of those hiccups there. Yeah. And Tennessee Titans 4-13. New coach, new systems being installed. I'm not a big fan of a lot of what they have there. Like Callahan being there as
Will Levis. Tough spot for Will Levis. Not a ton of weapons.
yeah, and like D Hop is out early. I'm just not super bullish on them. Now in a couple years, maybe they're good because I do like the coaching staff that they brought in there, but it's not going to be a 1-year turnaround by any means. So I think this is kind of a reset. Hopefully, develop Levis a little bit more because I think he obviously has some arm talent.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, this was one of those teams that I really hoped they stripped it to the studs and started over, kind of like the Bears did. And look at where the Bears are at now. They're a up and coming team with high projections from a lot of people. So this is where I'm at. How about you, Mike?
I am very bullish in this division. I've got the Houston Texans at fucking 14-3.
All right.
I think they are going to just stomp a shithole in people, and I'm not looking forward to it. Because not only do we have to contend with Pat Mahomes, now we're gonna have to contend with a very good fucking Texans team. They got good fast, and they're only getting fucking better because they had money and they continue to draft smart. That team is going to be a fucking problem for a very long time.
Already good receivers, and you bring in Stephon Diggs. You bring in
Yeah.
Daniil Hunter on the defense, which is
They're
a
so
1-for-1 upgrade over Gennard. You already had a pretty solid defense. Joe Mixon it's questionable. Is he going to be that great? But
Joe Mixon doesn't have to be an every down back there,
exactly.
though.
And it's still better than what the setup that they had. So I'm bullish on the Texans.
Dell back like this offense is so insane.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, how about them Jags?
The Jags, I am not as high on them as you are, but I do have them as a winning record. I got them at 9-8. But they're going to beat up on this division because this division is trash at the bottom. I got the Titans at 4-13, and I got the Colts at 3-14. I think the Colts have the potential to be a good team if Anthony Richardson comes out and wows immediately with just his athletic raw ability and shit just goes great. But we are getting that second rookie year. And those guys in that second rookie year who weren't out there all the time taking those reps, it doesn't always work out great for them. I loved Anthony Richardson coming out of this draft, but he is going to have to take a huge step for this team to be any good, in my opinion. The quarterbacks they have behind him, I don't love. Like Gardner Minshew, he can go out there and he can be competitive with that team. Um, Joe Flacco, for all the things that he was here, he was also slinging interceptions like crazy. Like if he has got to be a dude, Anthony Richardson has to be a dude, but second rookie year, I don't trust it.
Well, that's because Gardner's in Vegas now.
He's
Is
in Vegas.
Flacco the primary backup?
I believe so. I have not checked their 53, but I believe that Flacco is their primary backup. It would make sense. Veteran who mentors and can still play a little bit. I would have to double check.
All righty, cool. All right, ready to move on to our next division?
Yes.
All righty, AFC West. You got the Kansas City Chiefs here doing Kansas City Chief things. I got them going 13-4, higher than that Vegas projection of 11.5. And to be clear, Vegas projections here on FanDuel, they kind of peter off towards the extreme. So the real bad teams, they still have them getting like 4 or 5 wins. The real good teams, that's when you're looking at the 11 or 11.5 or 12.5 at the most. So when we're more bullish on them, Vegas is still not going to be there, which is some of those times when, hey, maybe this is a bet that you want to make that they're going to make the over or something like that. But I got the Chiefs 13-4 here. Solid team. I think that they've gotten better at receiver. Not that I'm a huge Xavier Worthy fan, but he extends the field and allows Rashee Rice to do better there. Juju Smith-Schuster is not a factor in this calculation at all. But them having Isaiah Pacheco, who is quietly one of the better backs in the league, like he just works in the system, and then to bring in Samaj Pirine, like who is a solid contributor as well. Like he's filling that Jerick McKinnon role. It's not the same type of player, but he's a good receiving back. He's a good blocking back, and he can run the ball fucking well too. So like they've done good things to support that offense. You still have Travis Kelce there. And then the defense, the defense has been solid as well. This team is fully expected to be another one of those deep playoff run teams for me. Behind them, we have a lot of flack, if you will. The Broncos, I got them at 7-10. I think they'll be better than people project them to be because Bo Nix is just going to be Bo Nix. It's going to be milk toast, and that's why it's a losing record. It's not great for Sean Payton because that team doesn't wow me on either side of the ball, but they're going to be able to be relatively competent because it's not going to be a coach and a quarterback constantly butting heads and creating this internal turmoil. Like Sean Payton's getting the people that he wants in there that will just live in his echo chamber and bow down to him.
They will do exactly what
because of that
when he says it.
They will be a little bit better than what Vegas has projected at 5.5. Raiders, I love Antonio Pierce as a coach, but again, I don't like the roster. Like Gardner Minshew is a fine quarterback. Aiden O'Connell is a fine quarterback, but I don't want either of them to necessarily be my long-term starters. And that's what they're looking in the face is like 2 guys that you could flip a coin and maybe one of them has an okay week, but nothing that's really blowing the doors off. Zamir White, looked decent as a running back last year, but can he take a full-time workload? We have no idea. And then at wide receiver, Devontae Adams, maybe he is as good as he was before, but you saw last year with the dearth of quarterback talent there. And if you watch the receiver documentary on Netflix, like he just isn't getting the ball thrown his way like he should. The production's not there. And that might be part of his career tailing off a little bit as he gets, in his 30s. That they just don't have a whole lot that excites me on that Raiders team other than the energy that Antonio Pierce brings. But is that energy going to continue there? Like the energy was there because he came in and revitalized a team that just had shitty leadership.
It's terrible fucking leadership.
Now they have good leadership, but can they carry that same energy kind of like what Dan Campbell did up in Detroit? And I'm not so sure yet because I didn't really like what they did this offseason so much.
Okay. All right, so I'm glad
Chargers.
I'm not the only one. Chargers, yeah, they're shit.
It's gonna be a year.
You got them worse than I do. You got them worse than I do, but
I think that this team is set up to be a running team with not great running backs. We'll see if Harbaugh is able to work magic, but I still think that it needs a year for things to set, and that's why I don't have them doing very well this year. Defense not going to be great. Offense not going to be great. I just don't see it.
All right. We actually are similar. I was worried that I was going to be the only one that had like some higher um records because I know Vegas, they always fucking lowball it. Like if a team's really good, the best you're gonna get, I think, is a 12. I think anybody is gonna project higher than that. But I got the Chiefs at 14-3. Tied for the best record in the AFC. Broncos, I got them one game better than you do, 8-9. Because I believe that they will do exactly what the fuck Sean Payton says, and they will be very moderate and mediocre right across the board for the majority of the time. They could have done the exact same thing with Russell Wilson and not been paying him $50 million this year to do it in a different team. For the Raiders and the Chargers, I have them both at 6-11. I'm not as down as you are on the Chargers, but I am way under the 8.5 that Vegas is saying. I feel like the under, and I will pull it up right now just to make sure. The under has got to be hammered, I feel like here. Where is San Diego? Not that's not their name. LA Chargers. I'm stupid. Under 8.5 plus 104.
Yeah, that's a quick bet for me. Like hit the under on that one. It's the Harbaugh effect that's giving them the 8.5 points. They have Herbert, they have Harbaugh, and not a whole lot else. You've got one Bosa brother, the worst of the two Bosa brothers on the other side of the ball, who hasn't been staying healthy or doing that much. An aged out Khalil Mack that probably should have been moved for something to help rebuild this team.
Probably.
And then you bring in Greg Roman, who is a run first type of guy. You have a backfield filled with former Harbaugh brother runners that can't stay fucking healthy. It's a tough look. I mean, you do have Ladd McConkey to catch the ball, but you've got other guys like Palmer who are like wide receiver threes at best.
Yeah,
I just don't see where the production is going to come from on the offense, unfortunately, and it's going to be rough.
I agree, man. Like I'm down on the Chargers. I really am. And it's not just because Harbaugh went to fucking Michigan. They went from having a fuckload of weapons to having almost none in one offseason, it feels like. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, fucking gone. Like just, and now you got a bunch of unproven dudes and a quarterback that you're supposed to be growing your franchise around. You're not doing him any goddamn favors.
Yeah. I mean, Harbaugh is good with quarterbacks, but you got to have someone to throw it to.
Yeah.
So, all right. Moving on to the NFC. I got the NFC East. An interesting division here. Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not an Eagles fan at all. I think they're going to be fucking damn good this year. All right. New offensive coordinator. I like what he's doing there. Defense, hopefully, this really encircles whether or not the defense can be good or not. And bringing in Fangio there, he's been pretty consistent with having good defenses. I like their odds of being good. They also have a relatively easy fucking schedule where I think they can roll quite a bit. Hurts is looking better. Yeah, they're not going to be the same probably as far as the tush push, but you got Saquon Barkley there. Like Saquon's going to bring a better element to that run game. You already had AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, who are very good, and then you trade for Jahan Dotson. So now you've got a full-fledged 3 wide receivers. You've got Goddard, who is going to be good if he can stay healthy. A good running game, a very solid offensive line, a quarterback who might not have a whole lot of arm strength, but he is able to run that offense very effectively. The offense should be very good. And then the defense, like their front 7.
I think they're going to drastically fucking improve, bro.
Yeah, I think that they fit better with the Vic Fangio system, the guys that they have there. But then can that defensive back end hold up? That was like what lost them so much last year, was that defensive back end and guys not being motivated. Like this record 14-3 could easily be like an 8-9 record, and we see Sirianni out the door. Because I am not a Sirianni fan. I don't think that he is right to be a head coach there. And if the motivation, no, like you saw how players were rebelling against him last year. Like things were going bad, and he wasn't able to keep the ship upright. The players were rebelling and bouncing. Like AJ Brown looked like he was ready to leave.
That's very true. That's a fucking
Like
good point.
Things went bad, and instead of the team being like, all right, we're doing bad, we're still gonna fight, they just looked like they gave up on shit. Like it was not the same. So like I am bullish on them right now, 14-3, but could easily be a team that is middling if their head coach doesn't reel things in. And then we get to the Cowboys. Cowboys 8-9, not a winning record. We said this on our last show. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be as good as people are expecting this year. Yes, old hot dog water, Sirianni. Thanks, Joe. Yes. And the whole too many 49ers comment, I see this on your fantasy team. I'm just giving you shit, man. I don't even remember who the fuck you got on your team. I just wanted to give you shit. But I don't think the Cowboys are going to be that good this year. I don't think the running game is going to be that good unless Dalvin Cook is able to pull what he had a couple years ago, which when he left the Vikings, he was injured. The teams that he played for, he didn't look great, and he was still working through injuries. He looks fucking stacked right now in practice. Like he looks good, and apparently the medicals looked good enough for him to be there. I know that he can be very electric if he's able to pull anything that he had in the past.
2 years ago, bro.
Well, right. And I was fine with my Vikings moving on from him. But when you look at who else is in the backfield, though, Rico Dowdle and Zeke Elliott, the fat
Rico Dowdle is the guy that will probably get the best run there.
And Dowdle looked good this preseason. He's never, like, I don't think that he should be a full-time starting back, but he looked good in the preseason. Whether the depth chart says or not, I think he's slated to be their number one back. And if he's able to stave off the old veterans, then like he could have an okay year. But the offensive line is not what it was. Like the Cowboys line from 3-4 years ago, it is not that. You've got one receiver, CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. Yes, they've got
Brandon Cooks. He's gonna get fucking 850 yards and fucking 5 touchdowns, and you'll never hear about it.
Oh, and Jalen Tolbert. Yeah, so that inspires confidence, right? Like Dak Prescott, the contract stuff is going to be real interesting to watch. We got predictions about this fucking Cowboys team that we're definitely going to get to as the show progresses along here, but I don't see it working out there. Like offense is going to be the better part of this team. Bringing in Mike Zimmer, I think a fresh, hard-nosed approach from Zimmer on that defense will be decent. But I still don't know that it's going to be great. You've already got Deron Bland going down for weeks again. Like him and Trevon Diggs are the two big boomer bust cornerbacks that you have, and it's going to be interception city or missed tackles. And then now you've got
Bland going down. Like somebody on fucking X, like saying that the Cowboys corner group was better than the Browns, and I was like, you don't know what the fuck
you have to define the metrics there, because that this is a team that can easily get shitloads of interceptions if all the guys are out there, but they also are going to give up shitloads of touchdowns. You got to define the metrics.
You're going to get scored on so much. Your defense is still giving up a fuckload of points.
Yeah. So Cowboys, I've got with a losing record at 8-9, a little bit worse than Vegas there, and then the Commanders, I have them doing better, 8-9 as well. This is a team that I think before the draft and everything and before free agency, this is a team that has a chance to really turn things around and surprise people. And I think that the Commanders could even get on top of this win total, do better than the 8-9 record. Jaden Daniels, I think, is a good quarterback. Really interesting to see how it works out there. I like some of the pieces. They need more receiving help, especially after shipping Jahan Dotson out. Yeah. But I don't expect that the Commanders were thinking year one, we're going to, be the new pride of the NFC East. They are going to take a good step forward this year, continue rebuilding because they still have a shitload of cap space for next year. And next year, we could be looking at a team that's going to be vying for the top spot with those Philadelphia Eagles. And then the Giants, God, sorry, Bill Coleman. It is super tough to fucking be a fan of this team right now. Like, I'm so happy you guys got Malik Neighbors, but I wish that he had someone to throw him the fucking ball, because Daniel Jones does not look like the dude. I don't care how zaddy he looks with his beard and everything.
Saquon Barkley throw him the fucking ball than Daniel Jones.
And that's the thing, is that Saquon has been their offense the entire time that he's been there, and now you don't have Saquon. So what is your offense? Malik Neighbors isn't running the balls, so like you have to get the ball in his hands. and it's not going to be just
Daniel
constant end
Jones has
around.
to fucking get it there.
Yeah, it's rough there. The one thing that the Giants have going for them is their down linemen on defense, and then after that, it's still a wash, man. So like, this is not going to be a good team. One of the worst teams in the NFL this year, I believe. So they'll have their chance at going after a quarterback next year, hopefully. But yeah, it's not a look 6.5 wins on the Vegas odds. That's another one that I'm hitting the under on.
Okay. All right. So same, because 6.5 is nowhere fucking close. I got the Eagles as the best team in football, and I had two teams at 14-3. I know this sounds crazy to predict this, and I'm not a fucking Eagles fan. I got them going 16-1. Their schedule is pretty fucking simple.
Who do they lose to? Is what I'm curious about. It. Do you have those metrics standing
Hold
up?
on. Yes, I can pull it up. It's going to take me a second to go back through the weeks, though.
All right.
Hold on.
Because look, that is a bullshit. Look, the Eagles have an easy record this year. They do. I don't see it in the cards to have a 17-0 team in the NFL. 16-1 is still fucking real bullish.
I have them losing to Baltimore.
All right.
In week 13.
All right. Makes sense. I do have them losing to Baltimore as well in my predictions, I believe. But obviously they get a couple other L's in there as well. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, so the Cowboys, I'm also not high on. I'm even lower on them than you are. I've got them at 7-10. They're not a good football team, dog. Like, not at all. Like, CeeDee Lamb got paid a lot of money. He better be real happy getting double teamed all fucking year, because that's the only thing that offense has right now. You talked about Brandon. I brought up Brandon Cooks. He's going to get some quiet yards because CeeDee's getting doubled every fucking play. The ghost of Zeke Elliott is not scaring nobody. Like, Rico Dowdle, while we think he might have a decent run, is not scaring anybody. You devote your entire offensive game plan to stopping CeeDee Lamb.
You remember James Robinson like 2 years ago with Jacksonville or whatever it was, 2-3 years ago? They drafted Etienne. He goes down, and James Robinson has a good year. That's the type of year that I think Rico Dowdle could aspire to have. You know what James Robinson's doing now? Not a whole fucking lot. He's a third stringer on the fucking Saints, I believe. So, like, not to down talk Rico Dowdle, because I think that he could be solid this year. He could have a solid year in fantasy this year, but he's not the answer.
Right. So, yeah, this team is not going to be very good. I can't wait to beat the shit out of them week 1. And I've brought it up ad nauseum that Dak's done now. Dak's not going there. He's not going to stay a Cowboy after this year. I almost went with a crazy prediction that he wouldn't be there halfway through the season, but I decided to pull that back. We very rarely see moves like that. I believe the last team to make a move for a player that big midway through the season were your Vikings was it Herschel Walker?
I don't think that was halfway through the season. I mean, that was every draft pick. I don't remember what point in time it happened. I figured it happened in the offseason, but it was before my time, but we traded our entire draft for Herschel Walker.
So I don't know. I'm not doing that, but yeah, I don't think they're going to be very good. Commanders, I like that their team. They have a pretty decent squad, but this NFC, they have a really tough schedule. I have a lot of top heavy NFC teams, and then some kind of mediocre ones that squeak into the playoffs. I got them at 4-13, and then the Giants I also have at 2-15. I can't see any good coming of Daniel Jones playing another year of quarterback for the New York Football Giants. Put the Italian back in there, baby. Like, let's do something fun at least, because you guys are gonna suck.
I don't think Drew Lock is good, but I think he's just as good as Daniel Jones and
Tommy.
Yeah, DeVito is more fun.
Give me Tommy DeVito, man.
Yeah, for sure. And the amount of copium that you'll see from some Giants forums and stuff like that online of being like, well, Joel Shane, like, he tried to go after quarterbacks this year, and quarterbacks then, it's not like they want Daniel Jones. Like, well, you gave him the fucking contract as well. Like, sure, recognize that it was bad, but you could have recognized that it was bad before you gave him the contract, like everybody else did. So that it might be a very short leash there for Danny Dimes, Joel Shane, and Brian Dable. They should all feel like they're on the hot seat. And Joe, I don't expect him to have his breakout season either. That'd be
Oh my
pretty
god, what
odd.
just happened to my thing?
Uh-oh.
Oh no, I think I just lost all my shit.
Oh no.
All right, I have an idea of where I was.
All right. Well, NFC North is up here for me. And I've got the Detroit Lions barely beating out their Vegas odds. 11-6. NFC North, I think, is going to be a very competitive division this year. Despite most people think that the Vikings are going to be absolutely terrible because Sam Darnold's a quarterback. From the outside looking in, if you told me that like this time last year, I'd be like, shit, we are in a full fucking rebuild. Not really the case. But 11-6 for the Detroit Lions. They're a good team. We'll see if the secondary is better or not. But look, offensively, they're fucking fantastic. Defensively, I think they got better. But again, they have some leaky holes there in the back end. My Vikings, I got at 9-8 as well. I did way early when there was 6-5 or 6.5 wins for the Vegas odds. I bet the over on that. But 9-8, I got them barely squeaking out, and this was actually better than I expected. I tried to be as realistic as possible with that team. Like,
you're not gonna like my record.
Look, I completely get it. The thing is that, like, I think the defense is going to surprise people. They had times last year where they were a top 10 defense despite having lackluster talent there. Brought this up before. They have gotten rid of guys like Danielle Hunter, which is the most notable big name that they lost in this offseason. And they replaced him with 3 edge rushers that I think that can at least equal what he did, if not surpass what he did. They are going to be a surprising defense, I think, for people. If you don't think they're going to be competitive, I don't think you've been paying attention. And I don't blame you because most people are writing the Vikings off. Offensively, look, it's a Kevin O'Connell-led offense. He made things work with Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins, and Josh Dobbs last year. And then in the preseason, Sam Darnold looked good. And in training camp, Sam Darnold looked good. He still has issues, and it's mental issues, I think, more than anything, where if he throws an interception, he might get down on himself and he might start having things snowball from there. But Kevin O'Connell has done pretty fucking good things with worse quarterback talent. Physically, he's got it. Sam Darnold has what it takes. Mentally, that's where the question marks are going to be. And I think that he's going to be better than Nick Mullins was last year. And Nick Mullins had a pretty decent run towards the end of the year. Not something that you want starting by any means, but it was fun to watch because there was a lot of interceptions, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards. JJ was still able to put up 1,000 yards with shit quarterbacks and not playing a lot of the year. The running game should be better. There's an emphasis on running. Aaron Jones was one of the top running backs in the league last year for the last 5 games when he was healthy. If he stays healthy, I think we're going to have a decent running game. So I think that people are sleeping on my Vikings, and that's not just me being a Vikings homer. Joe, I don't know that we have a whole lot of issues right now. But I think that this is going to be something where people are going to be a little bit surprised how competitive they are. Could be a lot worse record for sure. I think we're going to be close and competitive games. I think it's going to come down to the end, and then it might be.
It's going to be the season where you guys win close games or lose close games, because we've had the last 2 years, it was the opposite.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Again, I'm more bullish on them than most people, but I didn't go into when I did these record predictions being bullish about my Vikings. I just let the cards fall how they did. I also got the Bears going 9-8. Like, I think that they are a much improved team this year. I think their defense is going to surprise a lot of people. And if Caleb Williams is what we saw in the preseason, he's going to be a pretty fucking good quarterback. Like, can he emotionally hold together? That's always been what we said. Purely with football, he looks to be the real deal. That's why I drafted him in our fucking fantasy league. I think he's going to be a top 7 fantasy quarterback this year, and I think that he's going to have a pretty damn good year. And I think this Bears team is definitely turning things around. Super Bowl bound, I'm not going that far. I'm not crazy like the Bears fans are. But look, they have every right to be happy. They haven't had a quarterback worth his fucking shit.
He might be the best quarterback in their franchise history, and he could do that in the
Sid Luckman is going to be pissed, but
He could do this in the first contract, be the best quarterback they've ever had.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to contract negotiations, that's going to fuck them because he just seems like a pain in the ass. And then the Packers. All right. So I hate the Packers. We all know this. I got them at 8-9, which isn't far off from the Vegas projection. So I don't think I was that fucking down on the Packers. Well, I gave them wins. I could have easily said they lose every game. And Jordan Love is a fucking dumpster fire. And Malik Willis is starting in week 17. But I didn't. It's a very competitive division. And I've got the Packers going 8-9, obviously not making the playoffs here. And I think that we will see a lot more regression to the mean from Jordan Love rather than them being, thinking that he's the next quarterback in line there. Like, I think Green Bay's late season run is extremely overinflated. They played terrible fucking secondaries and were able to take advantage of that. Love still was inaccurate. Like, the one thing that I think that the Packers have going for them is they quietly have a pretty fucking decent receiving core. Dontavian Wicks, a guy that wasn't taken in our fantasy draft, I think he's got a chance of being a very good player. Reed could be a very good player. Dobbs, if he learns to catch a ball consistently, has what it takes to be a good fucking receiver. Christian Watson, one-trick pony, but he's also always hurt. Like, he's a Jameson Williams type that the Lions have. Like, if he stays healthy, maybe he's a decent deep threat, and that opens up that stuff for those other three guys I mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, they've got that. I got him where I got him. I got him at 8-9.
All right. I feel that. So I'm very high on the Lions. I got the Lions at 15-2.
Whew.
Yeah, I'm very high on the Lions as well. I guess I had a lot of I was very top heavy in the NFC. Green Bay is my next highest, and I know you don't love this. I have them 11-6. Their schedule actually shakes out pretty fucking simple for them. It helps Jordan Love. He plays his important games at home, so that's kind of big for him. The other two, I have both you and the Bears at 6-11. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a godsend compared to what they have seen offensively. But there's going to still be mistakes there. I think that coaching staff doesn't belong there, especially with the amount of talent that team has now. I don't think they have the right coaching staff by any means.
Yeah, that's the weirdest part of this. Eberflus, I do not think should be the head coach there.
I don't either. They have a shitload of talent now, and I don't know it's going to be used the right way. I don't know. I don't trust Eberflus, so I'm down on them. I'm going 6-11, and you guys, the injuries and the things that have happened, I'm down on you as well. I'm not a Sam Darnold guy. I have never been a Sam Darnold guy, and your excitement about him is great, but it has not fucking swayed me one bit. I am still not a Sam Darnold guy.
Alrighty.
So
look, that's fair. I can go with the normal tropes. Best situation that he's been in. He started off his career and just dog shit and kind of ruined him mentally. And the past, this year and last year, he's been in good situations with good coaching. He has the physical talents. It's what's between the ears. Can he work that around? And you do that with good coaching. So hopefully the past 2 years of having good coaching will help. All right, NFC South. The pity party of the NFC.
Yeah, gross. This division sucks dick.
And this is where I think most people think I got it wrong. The Falcons at 9-8. Vegas has them 9.5 wins, so right around their actual Vegas total. A lot of people think that they're going to be gangbusters with Kirk Cousins there, and I get it. Kirk Cousins is a decent regular season quarterback. He will lose in the playoffs for you. He is not. I mean, he is shown to be clutch sometimes in his recent years with Minnesota, but it's a new team. It's new coaching. It didn't happen overnight for Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. I don't think it's going to happen overnight with Atlanta there. And the primetime games and stuff like that, he's not going to win. He doesn't win primetime games. I think Falcons fans are going to be super hyped, and by the end of the year, they're going to kind of be like, why aren't we playing Penix a little bit more? Like, Kirk Cousins will be a statistical monster for you there. He's going to get you, 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns and maybe 10, 15 interceptions. It's going to feel really good because you haven't had a good quarterback there since Matt Ryan. But he's not going to be the one to take you to the promised land. You have to really hope that you find a way to move away from him and move on to Penix. I got him winning the division, but not by a ton there. It's 9-8 for me. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know that you were high on Baker and the Bucks and stuff like that. Look, they've got new offensive
It
coordinator there.
was, but based on the way my projection shaked out, I'm not as high on Baker and the Bucks as I thought I was.
Yeah, I'm expecting a little bit of regression there. The offensive system, I don't know that it works out as well for Baker as it did last year. I believe Liam Cohen's the new offensive coordinator there. After his previous OC leaves and takes a head coaching job there with Carolina. I look, I think that they can be an okay team. They're going to be a scrappy team, but I don't see that they're going to be a playoff team again unless they're able to backdoor their way in, kind of like how it was last year, where this NFC South was up for grabs at the end. Defense is aging. You've got Antoine Winfield, and that's the only guy that I feel great about. Offensively, the receivers are aging. And look, Baker is fun and everything, but I think the constant switch of coordinators and stuff like that, he went through it in Cleveland. And now he's going through it again here with the Bucks. Like, it's a situation where I expect there to be a regression on the offense, which is why I've got them just behind the Falcons there. Panthers, I think, are going to be better probably than what you have them projected to be. More so because I believe that they've brought in some better personnel on offense, which will allow Bryce Young to be better, but I don't think he's going to be good. I think the coaching there is solid, that they brought in. Jonathan Brooks, I like, but that's going to be more late in the year. Can he do something? Offensively, they have some better receivers now. They got Deontay Johnson, they got Xavier Legette, go along with Adam Thielen. I like that, but again, the quarterback I'm not sold on. And better offensive line, upgrades there, which should help a little bit on the offense. Defensively, I think they're going to be
that we're talking about they're not really upgrades, man. They still got guys playing the wrong position. They still got fucking Ike Ekwonu playing at fucking left tackle.
He's better than they were last year.
He was a fucking guard when he came out in college. He should have stayed a guard. He's never been a tackle, and he's been getting his ass kicked ever since. Like, they are mismanaging this team. Yeah, I am. You're right. I am still way down on the Panthers.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think that they're going to be like a good offensive line, but I still think that they're better than last year. And the defense, though,
if that
defense is going to be fucking dog shit. So, like, I got them at 5-12, right around what Vegas is expecting. Easily could go way south of that. I don't expect it to go better than that, though. And then the Saints, like, look, I've said it. I think Spencer Rattler is going to be the starter by the end of the year. That is both good and bad. I mean, it's probably not good if you're a high-paid quarterback. Yeah, if Derek Carr is not doing good. Kamara is aging. You don't have Mike Thomas there anymore, obviously, but Olave is good. But Dennis Allen's not a great coach. Their new defensive coordinator, like, I think there's just been too much problems with the salary cap down there in New Orleans where they cannot put a competent roster together. I think they're just going to be a real bad team. Like, 4-13 is kind of where I'm maxed out on them. I think that they could definitely go lower than that.
All right, so we're slightly similar. I am one of those people who is a little higher after I went through all the schedules. I did have the Falcons a little higher than you have them. I've got them at 12-5. Bucks, I had it 9-8, so one game better over there, over under, same as you did. I expected this to be a little higher, but after going through it, man, they don't have enough firepower, and that defense has too many lapses. They have potential to be fucking fantastic, but they're aging on defense as well. So that's stuff for me. The Saints, I have at 5-12, but that is still an absolute goddamn dumpster fire of a team. I don't know who's playing quarterback. I don't know half the motherfuckers on that team anymore. I'm not sure anybody else does either because they're paying people all over the place. They're in salary cap absolute hell still. They're finding a way to field the roster. But I have the Panthers as 1-16. They're the worst team in the football game. That team has been mismanaged from top to bottom. the quarterback situation is not good. They're left the two of the most important positions in all of football, quarterback and left tackle, completely not accounted for. You got guys playing the wrong spot. You took outliers at the two most important positions in football. You took two physical outliers, and neither one of them have worked out. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Iquana, you can still slide in. You can still do something with him. But it's just, they're off. This whole thing is wrong. It's not going to work. Sure, they're gaining additional weapons. But Bryce Young better score a fuckload of points because, as you brought it up, this defense is going to be trash. Like,
Yeah.
they're in a really bad spot. Panthers fans, you have got a long way to go before you are competitive because that management group has done you wrong, has done you a disservice with their draft picks and the way they have managed that roster.
Yeah. Pretty fucking terrible there. All right. NFC West. For you, Joe, I got you guys going 15-2. Now, I went into this not expecting this to happen. But again, when I went game by game, this is what I ended up landing on 15-2, including some nail biters versus some good teams. All right. And I believe one of those losses was against a team that I think is going to just be like middling average. But that ends up happening here and there. So 15-2, good year for San Fran. I'm expecting CMC to stay healthy. I'm expecting Ayuk to be okay. After getting the contract, big year for Debo. And you got guys like Pooney on the offensive line, a nice find in the draft. Defense, I think you're still going to be good. Like the San Francisco 49ers, again, kind of like the Bills, are set up to be, maybe not the Bills this year, but they're one of those teams that you expect to be a deep playoff run team. And are they going to have that little bit of oomph to get over the hump and win the whole fucking thing? We'll see. But 15-2 for me on those 49ers, still a damn good team. LA Rams, still, look, I was down on them last year. I ate crow. I like the way that they've pieced that team together. It's going to be different with Aaron Donald not being there, but I still think that they're going to be a competitive team. I think Cooper Kupp is going to have another really fucking good year. Like last year was a down year because of injury. Him and Nakua both are going to be solid. I'm not a huge Blake Corum fan, but I think he's going to be very relevant this year. Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, they view them as like the same kind of back, same type of guy. I think you're going to be seeing a lot closer to, instead of like every 3 drives is Kyron and 1 for Blake Corum, I think it's going to be a lot closer to a 50-50 workload there. They got good coaching. I think they're going to be able to figure it out, make good things happen. Cardinals, also a team that probably better on offense than we were expecting. Bringing in Marv Harrison is going to do great things for them. Trey McBride showing out, going to be good for them. Michael Wilson, I'm surprised that he's not getting more praise. Like, he really looked fucking good last year. He's going to be a solid number 2 receiver in this league. And Zay Jones there, they got some receiving options. Biggest thing is that Kyler is playing in an offense that makes more sense to what he is suited for. He is healthy. They've got James Conner, who again plays very well when Kyler is out there, and a young guy in Trey Benson behind him that I think can do some things. Offensive line still needs work. Defense absolutely still needs work. Like, the defense still scares me, but I think that they're going to be a lot more of a competent, high-profile offense this year, and have to overcome some of those defensive struggles. I still got them going 8-9, not a winning record, but damn close. And then the Seahawks, I would say it's going to be a little bit of a hiccup year. Geno Smith, I think, is going to continue to regress. And they bring in a new head coach, defensive coordinator. I think just the schematic change is going to be a bit of a problem. I think they're still a good team, but it's just a very competitive NFC West. And I have them coming out kind of as the losers here.
All right. 15-2 is fucking wild, bro.
Yeah.
So I have the San Francisco 49ers also going 15-2. And I picked the exact same fucking record. I was like, there's no way. That's way too high. It's going to sound ridiculous when it comes out of my mouth. Yeah, there you go.
That's Joe saying. And then Scott, we did do the NFC North earlier.
North already.
You're gonna hate me. Your Packers are in last, and I didn't do it just because I hate the Packers.
Scott, I put your Packers in first.
Yeah.
15-2 is fucking wild. The fact that we came up with the same 15-2 for this is crazy. They're going to be really good, man. I think they're going to be really fucking good. The Rams, I also have as my number 2 team. A couple games under you though. I got them as 8-9. But 8-9 gets them in the playoffs in the NFC for me. They are the last team in the playoffs that are fucking 8-9. Because I am super top heavy in the NFC, and there's a team who's under 500 who makes the fucking playoffs. As per usual, I feel like in the NFC. The Cardinals, I think, are better, but not quite there. 6-11, and the Seahawks, I have a 7-10. I'm a little more down on the Cardinals than you are. We're right there on the Seahawks. Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a huge asset to that team. Who else is catching a pass?
Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, and Zay Jones. Like, I think that they got good options there. You saw what Kyler was able to do with a good D-Hop, which was limited because both of them were getting fucking hurt. But I think that you're going to see way better results than a Kyler D-Hop. That you'll see that with Marvin Harrison. And look, I'm bullish on Wilson. Zay Jones has his role. Like, I like what's set up there. And will Murray stay healthy? New COD coming out soon. He's a good point.
That's tough point. Yeah,
these are good points. So is the new COD comes out in what, March or something like that? I think. I know they just had the beta for it out. I feel like it's coming out soon, but we might have to worry about. Man, fucking who knows? He's playing the beta right now, I'm sure. But as long as the COD comes out next year after or in the playoffs, and that's all.
At any time where he doesn't have to watch film, because we wouldn't want that contractually obligated.
Oh shit! Early November. All right. Well, look, they're gonna have a good couple months.
Yeah, good couple months. All right, so there we go.
And Joe,
I feel good about my Cardinals prediction.
Joe, I have San Fran losing those 2 games, one to the Rams, at the Rams, and at Tampa Bay, which is, like you said, weird loss. That's what I have.
And give me 1 second. I'll pull up mine as well. Tell you who, maybe. Oh. Motherfucker. That's AFC. That's why. Because I'm dumb. I have to actually select the NFC. I've got them losing to the Lions in week 17. And who's the other one? Why do I only have one loss here? I know I have 2. The Chiefs. Chiefs in week 10.
Yep. And see, I had their losses coming to opponents that you wouldn't expect, which kind of fits in line with what you had said, Joe. They have some trip at weird spots where you think they should get the win, like they did with the Vikings last year. I don't think people expected that, but they had that little bit of a losing streak. Look, they need to figure out Trent Williams fucking quick, because that team is very different.
They need to fucking trade him to the Browns is what they need to fucking do.
Well, then that is going to change the record prediction for me a lot if they trade him, because he is extremely pivotal to this team. You saw when he wasn't in there last year, the production was way worse. Whew. Terrible. All right. Season records that I got here.
Evo, run this. I'm gonna go take a piss while you break this down.
All right, cool. So looking at everything that I got compiled here in the AFC, this was the weird one for me. All right. So I think the Dolphins are a fucking good team, and I don't have them getting in. So easily the Chiefs, first seed, Texans as my second seed, 2 teams I'm super bullish on. The Jaguars also are able to make it in as the 6th seed from the AFC South. AFC North has 3 teams making it. That doesn't happen super often. You got the Ravens with the 3 seed, Browns with the 5 seed at 11-6, and the Bengals at 10-7. So it was the Bengals and the Dolphins seeing who was going to make it. It came down to the Bills got the 4 seed in the AFC East because they had more divisional wins. I believe it was like 5-1 in the division for the Bills and 4-2 for the Dolphins. And then between the Dolphins and the Bengals, who was going to get that last seed, that 7 seed, it came down to conference wins. The Bengals had 8 conference wins. The Dolphins had 7. So that's why the Dolphins didn't make it in. Heartbreaker there at the end for them. It surprised me because, look, we got a lot of good teams here in the AFC. The teams that I feel like could flip-flop or swap between these would be the Dolphins and the Jags. The Jags I am not as bullish on as I could be. But the Dolphins, for me, it was that end of the year. They kind of have a slump in the record, playing a little bit more outdoor games and whatnot. Now, over on the NFC, all right, number 1 seed 49ers with that 15-2 record. Solid there. The Rams also get in from the NFC West with a 10-7 record. You've got the Eagles, number 2 seed at 14-3. And then no one else from the NFC getting in because no one else has a winning record. NFC North is my outlier. All right. And again, I did not predict this to happen. I didn't try to make this happen. This is just how it fell. All right. Lions get in, winning the division. The Vikings at 9-8, Bears at 9-8. Both are able to get in because no other team out there had a winning record in the NFC. Like, you've got the Falcons with the only winning record in the NFC South. You've got the Eagles with the only winning record in the NFC East. And then in the NFC West, the 2 teams with winning records get in. So the way that I have it going in is that the Vikings and the Bears squeak in with 9-8 records, almost 500 records there as the 6 and 7 seeds from the NFC North. All right. So, Mike, who you got for your seeding?
All right. So in the AFC, number 1 seed.
I know, Scott.
What's up?
He's saying, no way the Vikings aren't last in our division. Who's your quarterback? Sammy Donut Darnold. Old Sammy D's.
Oh, man.
He's going to surprise people, I think, this year.
All right.
It's going to be his best year in the NFL.
Copium, baby.
Is he going to be a top 15 quarterback? I don't know that it's copium, man. Look, I was not stoked with Sam Darnold coming in. I thought JJ McCarthy's the answer. But the way Sam Darnold's performed this preseason, I can't sit here and be like, oh, this is just a fluke. Like, he's performing well.
Preseason. It's preseason, dog.
It is, but like training camp reports and stuff like that. And
man.
Kevin O'Connell has made
times
wine out of water.
Fooled by Sam Darnold looking good for a week or 2.
We'll see. We'll see, right?
Yes, we will. Yes, we absolutely will. So my seeding in the AFC, my number 1 seed on a tiebreaker is the Kansas City Chiefs at 14-3. Number 2 seed, I got the Texans also at 14-3. The 3 seed, I have the Dolphins at 13-4. 4 seed, my Cleveland Browns at 12-5. Number 5 seed at 11-6, I have the Baltimore Ravens. The 6 seed, I have the Bills at 11-6. And the 7 seed, I have the Jets at 11-6. The AFC is so fucking competitive. I think it's going to take 11 wins to get into the fucking playoffs. The NFC, you're going to be able to beat up on some lowly teams. The AFC doesn't work like that. You're going to have to beat everybody you're supposed to if you're going to make the playoffs over in the AFC. NFC, my seeding, number 1 seed, I have the Eagles. Wild at 16-1. I know. 15-2. I have number 2, the Lions. My number 3 seed. I have the 49ers as 15-2 as well. The 4 seed is going to be the Falcons at 12-5. My 5 seed is the Packers at 11-6. My 6 seed, the fucking Buccaneers make it in. Baker Mayfield makes it into the playoffs again at 9-8 because the NFC is terrible. And a team under 500 makes it. I have the Rams squeaking in at 8-9.
All right. Well, look, I said I didn't go into predicting this season with an expectation.
Like this team needs to be this. No, I just started fucking picking games. It's like, all right, this one makes sense. This one makes sense.
And I'll go ahead and pull this down real quick, and pull up my actual Excel spreadsheet here, so you guys can see what sort of work we were doing here. At least on my side. Again, I didn't have the
Your
like
little spreadsheet is,
yeah, 272 games. All right, I went through a lot here, and it took some time. But yeah, I didn't go into it being like this team is going to end with this record and figure it out from there. It was interesting to say the least. I wouldn't have gone into it thinking that I was going to have 3 teams from the NFC North somehow making their way into the playoffs. I didn't have the Vikings in my head making it into the playoffs. I had the Bears making it possibly in as a 7 seed or something like that, which they did. But somehow my Vikings, maybe I have a blind spot.
Dude, when I ended up with multiple teams winning fucking 15 and plus games, I was like, I fucked something up. But then I go back and I feel like when you look at some of these schedules, the way they're laid out, man, it is a fucking cakewalk for those top 3 teams in the NFC. The Eagles, the Lions, and the 49ers have a really nice, easy road. Their tough opponents are at home. Like, those 3 teams are going to be vying for playoff supremacy. Like, it's only those 3 in the NFC. The AFC could get a little bit more dicey because I like the Chiefs. I like the Texans. I like the fucking Dolphins. Obviously, I like my Browns as well. But I feel like if you get into the playoffs from the AFC, you could win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That group of teams is so talented.
Well, speaking of Super Bowl matchup and winner, you just want to get into who we think that's going to be? Because we're not going to break down every playoff game.
No, can't do that.
We've already been going at this for an hour and 20 minutes on our second show of the day.
Yeah.
We still got more to go over. But Super Bowl matchup, who do you have and who wins it all?
I've got the Eagles versus the Chiefs, 1 versus 1. But this time the Eagles come out on top. I expect that defense to be drastically improved. They went out and attacked positions of need. They're already incredibly talented. That defense needed some help. That defensive secondary needed help. They attacked that heavy. I like the way they did that. I am a little higher on Sirianni at this point. Sure, there's some guys in there that have some egos, but AJ Brown is out there ready to lace them up, no problem. A lot of dudes are ready out there to lace them up there, no problem. I think that this team is ultra talented. I know I got Joe in here booing me already. There's a lot of turmoil around your Niners right now. Will that be there later in the season? Probably not. I just think that the Eagles are going to be really fucking talented. Saquon is going to be a really nice piece. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Chiefs will continue to kind of reign supreme in my mind until proven otherwise. It's easy to write those motherfuckers into the Super Bowl.
Well, then who wins it? Do the Chiefs have a three-peat?
No, I think the Eagles win this one. I really do. I think they get over the hump.
All right. Well, this one I'm going a little bit less with my gut and more with my heart. I've got the Texans making it to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I don't think that they're ready yet, but I feel like if you get into the playoffs again, anything could happen. Texans.
Is this like early Cincinnati Joe Burrow, like when he makes it and like gets that little taste of what it's like?
Look, I feel like they saw a spark last year and threw fucking gasoline on it, and they're going all out. You mean you make moves for signing Danielle Hunter and getting Stephon Diggs and trading for a Joe Mixon? Like, they're not fucking playing around. It seems like
their window's open and they know it, and they're fucking going.
Yeah. Foot is on the gas pedal. So I've got the Texans making it, barely beating out the Chiefs in the championship. And then over on the NFC West, I've got the 49ers making it to the Super Bowl for Joe.
Okay.
And losing to the Texans because
Oh,
fucking
shit.
D'Amico takes it to his old team. He knows the ins and outs.
No.
I think it could be a good Super Bowl. Who knows? Look, we're talking months and months away from the Super Bowl. Who knows what the fuck is going to happen? Again, this is less of my gut, more of my heart. A matchup that I would like to see. Two teams I would like to see out there in the Super Bowl. Scott, with the question, what team do we think could be a Cinderella story like the Texans? Well,
Cinderella
all the
story?
teams that were so bad last year, I don't think any of them got to the point where they could be Cinderella teams. I think the closest team that you have that could back their way into the playoffs, surprise a lot of people, would be the Commanders for me. I think the Commanders, with Jaden Daniels there and some of the pieces that they moved this offseason, they could possibly be a team that is better than the record that I have for them. But that's, I think, would be the closest to a Cinderella team.
For me, and it feels weird to call them a Cinderella because they're not that far off from winning a Super Bowl. I'd say the Rams. Matthew Stafford could catch fire and really fucking go on a run with Puka Nacua and fucking.
And that's, I don't know that it would be a Cinderella. To me, the Cinderella would be a team that you don't expect to make it to playoffs at all.
But they're my last team in. Maybe they can go on a Cinderella run because I don't have them as high as you do. But in terms of Cinderella,
Indianapolis for Joe Rockstar here. Look, Richardson would have to have a fucking great year.
He would have to be spectacular.
I suppose that's possible. Look, if he has this amazing year too, a lot of things could click in that offense, I guess. It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
All righty. Well, that's our full year breakdown. Now we got some last things to go over here. We got our thoughts on who the NFL MVP is, offensive and defensive rookies of the year, comeback player, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, so on and so forth. So let's get started with that. Who's your MVP for this season?
Listen, man, I got Jalen Hurts. They're fucking going 16-1 by my projections. The quarterback of a team that goes fucking 16-1 wins the MVP. So that one's pretty easy for me. Jalen Hurts. Who do you got?
CJ Stroud. I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. Again, I'm not as bullish on him in fantasy, but I think he's a damn good fucking quarterback. And I think the whole second year slump thing isn't going to be a thing, especially with all the weapons that he has there. Like, he showed last year that he's got it. So MVP for me, CJ Stroud, making his team get all the way to the Super Bowl. Offensive and defensive rookies of the year. Where are you at?
So my offensive rookie is Caleb Williams. I think the kid, we had concerns, off the field concerns, maybe more so than anything, because he looks like he's got everything that you want from a quarterback. He's got plenty of weapons, and he's starting every game. I don't think there's any doubt that he will play every fucking game of the season. That's going to get him offensive rookie of the year. Maybe some competition from some receivers, but a quarterback is winning this award if a quarterback plays all 17 games and doesn't look like absolute dog shit.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. I don't want to pick a quarterback. I want to pick a different player. I want to pick one of the receivers. And for me, it's between Odunze and Marvin Harrison. But at the end of the day, Odunze is not going to win it if Caleb's not, or if Caleb's playing. Like, Caleb's the one throwing the ball, so Caleb would be the one to get the award. So I'm gonna go with Caleb Williams because he looked like the real deal this preseason, and the other two guys that I think could get it. I mean, Marvin Harrison would be the only one that would really compete with him in that fashion.
Malik Neighbors has the potential to, but he doesn't have the guy throwing the ball that can get it done.
Right. So yeah, it's got to be Caleb for me as well. Defensively, where are you at?
I'm going with your boy, man. I'm going Dallas Turner. He is so explosive off the edge. We didn't necessarily like him in the pre-draft process. We were both a little fucking wrong. when you watch him get on the field, he is so fucking fast. He is so explosive. He's going double digit sacks, and that's good enough to win defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah. I'm same. I Dallas do already. Now Caleb Williams being a Cutler 2.0, I am interested with this. See you later, Joe Rockstar. Scott, what do you mean Cutler 2.0? Because Cutler was that gunslinger quarterback. You get a lot of interceptions and some boneheaded plays. Very Brett Favrean. But I mean, he had a super strong arm and also was, had great connections with like Brandon Marshall and whatnot. I don't know that where's the connection between him and Caleb Williams would be my question. You think that Caleb is going to kind of fizzle out and be middling, or do you think that Cutler was kind of a good thing for a while for the Bears? I don't know where to.
I mean, Cutler was good for the Bears for a little bit. At times, he was really good. At times,
he was an above average quarterback for him.
Yeah. I mean, you can see potential.
Interceptions. I could see that too. Look, Caleb is definitely a little bit more wild with the ball. This preseason, they all worked out, but I could absolutely see where there's a lot of turnovers and stuff like that with his style of play as well. It could be very boomer bust, but the same thing could be said with a Pat Mahomes. Like the throws that he makes sometimes are not recommended.
Yeah, if you have
behind the back,
you can do it.
Yeah, behind the back throws and no looks and stuff like that. Your average to above average NFL quarterback is not making those throws because they're getting picked. But then you got some guys who are magicians that can make it happen. But I could absolutely see him going that way, Scott.
And listen, all passes are not equal, because if Pat Mahomes throws a behind the back pass and it's fucking picked off, you know what happens? People are like, "Oh, Pat tried to do a little too much. Yeah, Pat got a little too big for his britches, did something crazy. We'll rein him back in."
Because he'll go out there and throw for another 250 yards and 2 touchdowns and no other interceptions. Like
if Zach Wilson throws a fucking interception from throwing a pass behind his back, he is cut today. Like, not everything is the same for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
all right, comeback player of the year. Where are you at on this?
I'm sticking with what I have been riding all year, man. Like, Nick Chubb is coming back with a fucking force, dog. I don't know if it's going to be week 5 that he's back or if it's going to be week 6, week 8. Nick Chubb is coming back, and Nick Chubb is going to be at least close to old Nick Chubb. I don't think he comes back if he can't be that. He's done enough in his career to be happy with what he's done. Coming back from a knee injury already at Georgia, taking over at the Browns and being an absolute fucking dog, being beloved by an entire city. He could call it quits, and I think he'd be okay with that. And he would have a great career. He's coming back because he feels like he can fucking come back and contribute. Nick Chubb, comeback player of the year, and one of my very bold predictions has to do with Nick Chubb.
Alrighty. And Scott's coming in here. Aaron Rodgers. Look, if I had to,
it's the easy bet.
If I was forced to put money on it, I feel like he could go out there and have a middling season and he'll still win it, because as much as he's back and forth and in the shit with media and stuff all the time, they still like to stroke his ego. And it would make sense that if he goes out there and plays a full slate of games, that he's probably going to win it.
Who votes on comeback player of the year? Is it the writers? Because if the writers vote, maybe Aaron doesn't have that kind of a shot.
Yeah. I don't know if it counts for my comeback player of the year. I don't know if you have to be coming back from an injury.
So new rules have kind of been applied to that because Joe Flacco got the award last year.
Yeah. And so I'm going with Sam Darnold.
Oh, no. You just can't suck and then come back from sucking. I guess maybe did Gino win the award like that? That's how Gino won it, right?
I feel like he is going to have the same sort of path as a Gino and a Baker. Like they had their rough patches. They were in a low spot, discarded by most of the NFL. and then they are in the right situation and things click and they work.
Okay.
I think that is the North Star right now for Sam Darnold, is to have a Geno Smith style year, which is fine because then he's going to go to another team next year, and Vikings will get a comp pick for it. I'll be bullish on it. I don't care.
Okay. All right, Sam Darnold. I don't understand it, but listen, brother, I'm not. I'll back you until you're wrong, I guess.
And I will absolutely crow when he's terrible.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm not above that at all. Your offensive MVP. Who is the offensive player of the year?
For me, it's gonna be Tyreek Hill, man. That offense is so fucking good. They're so dynamic. He's gonna score so many touchdowns. There's so much speed. Like this could go to CMC if he stays healthy and they have a great year. But I also have the Dolphins having a great year as well as the 49ers. And Tyreek is gonna put up just video game numbers again, I believe. So where you at on this?
Bijan Robinson.
Really?
I vote for Bijan. Yep. I think people are overlooking him. I think he's gonna have a really fucking solid year. I love me some Bijan. If he had a very good year last year, I don't think that it would surprise as much as it will this year. Even though he was viewed so highly in the draft and everything last year, he just wasn't used. Like terrible coaching. Arthur Smith's like, oh, we got a great running back. Why not sit him on the bench? He's not going to sit on the bench this year. Like Arthur Blank's not going to let that happen. And I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I think that he's probably going over 500 receiving yards and over 1,500 rushing yards. I think we could see a LaDainian Tomlin-esque in his prime style year, close to 20 touchdowns, things like that. So I'm expecting big things from Bijan.
All right. I mean, I'm not that high on Bijan. I think he's a very good back, but that's a big leap from where he was.
And I put it on the system. I don't put it on him. I put it on the system. And also I love my running backs. This is a passing league. Realistically, we should be looking at pass catchers. So like again, I'm willing to eat crow when I'm wrong.
Bijan can catch the ball.
For sure. And that's that's why I got him going, all purpose yards. I feel like it's gonna be closer to 2,300 yards all purpose at least.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like
okay, so if he put those types of numbers, then he'd have my vote as well.
Right. Defensive player of the year.
I'm going Micah Parsons because it also helps fit my narrative. But I also think he's going to have a really good year. He's going to get a lot of sacks.
Yeah.
He's going to put up a lot of counting stats. And Jerry Jones has to pay somebody. He's already paid CD Lamb. He's got to pay Dak, or he's got to pay Micah.
Yeah.
Micah's going to put up numbers that Jerry's going to have to pay him. And Dak is gone. So I'm going Micah Parsons, defensive player of the year. He could be there every year. Could have won it last year. Yep. More so than TJ Watt could have.
Well, I'm also going with the defensive end. But I think probably one that maybe people wouldn't necessarily expect as much. I'm going Max Crosby.
Okay,
Max Crosby already. He already was, putting up pretty stellar numbers and doing some pretty fucking fantastic things last year. Now he's got a little bit more help along that defensive line. They bring in Christian Wilkins. That's going to take some of the pressure off of him, and going to allow him to do his job better. Look, it's kind of a toss up between a Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, guys like that.
Nick Watt.
Watt, and I think Crosby's in there, and it's just one of them's going to have to be the flash in the pan to make it happen. So I'm going with Max.
Okay. I mean, listen, I got no problem with Max. Max could easily win it. Max has had cases in the past, I think. So it would not surprise me, but he is an absolute fucking dog.
Yeah.
He's a guy you got a game plan for.
For sure. All right. And then Coach firings. So, how many coaches you think are fired by the end of the year, and how many of those firings you think happen in the middle of the season?
Okay, so I think that at the end of the year, we probably have 6 coach firings. Um,
Care to venture and say who?
actually, yeah. Hang on a second.
I
There's a
had a
lot.
tough time with it.
A lot.
While you think about it, I'll go through mine. I got 3. I got Dallas firing Mike McCarthy.
Yeah,
Got the
100%. Actually,
Giants firing Brian Dable,
yep.
and the Saints firing Dennis Allen. All
Yes.
right. The hot seats other than that would be the Bills if they have a tumultuous season.
I'm not worried about the Bills.
I could see them jettisoning their coach. And then if I think that the Bears, if they do not have a good season and it can be pinned on anyone, it's going to be pinned on their head coach. But as of right now, I only have 3 head coaches being fired this year: Mike McCarthy, Brian Dable, and Dennis Allen.
So I have McCarthy for sure. Dayball, even though it's not going to be his fault, but kind of his
It kind of
fault.
is.
Eberflus, I have getting fired because they're not going to be as good as they should be with the talent they have. Gannon is another potential firing candidate down there
With the
in
Cardinals.
Arizona. Yep. No, not going to fire there. I hate to say it, but with the record that I have, Antonio Pierce could be fired because he wasn't interim before.
Mhm.
It would be easy to pull the trigger there, say no, we didn't get it right based on the record that I have. And honestly, I got to tell you, I don't even know who the fuck the Panthers coach is at this point, but he could get fired at any time. He could get fired tomorrow.
Panthers head coach, that is the OC from the Buccaneers, Dave Canales.
Yeah, so he can get fired tomorrow. Dave Canales can get fired today. Based on that ownership group and the record that I got, they can get fired at any time.
I don't think Canales will necessarily warrant the firing. I think he's a perfectly fine coach.
Yeah, sure.
But the ownership group
pull there.
Yeah, they're super quick to just jettison coaches. So I guess I could see that. So how many in total are you saying?
That was 6 right there.
6. All right. Now I'll be
Those
sticking with
are
my
6
3.
potential candidates. I feel like yours is probably a little closer, but man, that I could easily see if my records project the way I think, I could see upwards of 6.
All right. Well, then that gets us into our last part of the show, our 3 bold predictions for the year. I'll go with my first one because it definitely revolves around a coach firing there. I've got Mike McCarthy being fired before the end of the season. Mike Zimmer taking over as the head coach, interim head coach.
Motherfucker. My first bold prediction, Mike McCarthy fired mid-season.
Mid-season, I think it'll be towards the end of the year.
No, he gets fired in mid-season. This is going to be very similar to something the shit that we saw out in fucking Vegas. Mike McCarthy is going to get fucking schwacked early. This team's going to be bad. Jerry's looking for heads to roll, and it ain't going to be Jerry's. It's going to be anybody but Jerry. Mike McCarthy's out mid-season.
All righty. Second prediction. This will be the year that we have a receiver eclipse the yardage total. Said it last year too, I think. But this will be the year. I'm not going to say who, but they're going to break the yardage record. They're going to go over 2K. And I'm not going to say who, but there's the usual suspects of who it could be. All right. Okay. You got your CeeDee Lamb because he's going to be the only talent
option
on that offense. Tyreek Hill, absolutely up for it. A couple other guys that could be out there, but
not Justin Jefferson because the guy who's throwing him the ball.
I think we got too much talent to throw it around to.
Yeah, that's it. It's all right because I'm gonna go ahead and back that up, and I'm gonna let you tell me that I'm also stupid. This is very much a homer pick. Nick Chubb still goes over 1,000 yards.
I could see that happening in a 17-game season.
If he gets 13 weeks, Nick Chubb could go over 1,000 yards.
Yeah. Because I don't think he's hitting 100 yards each game he's back. He could be
No, but
115, 105, things like that here. It'll add up to, yeah, I could see it.
His career averages for 13 games he should hit. Now, obviously, that's saying that he's going to be able to hit his career averages coming back from a devastating knee injury. Listen, I'm bullish on Nick Chubb. I always have been. He is my second favorite Cleveland Browns player of all time, right behind Joe Thomas. Like they're 1A, 1B as far as I'm concerned. So I love Nick. I can't wait to see him come back. I hope he hits those marks.
For sure. All right, my last one. So I had the Cardinals finishing the year 8-9. I had the Cardinals finishing the year with a top 12 offense and a bottom 3 defense.
Ooh.
All offense, no defense.
Wow.
It's kind of like the Panthers. Some offense, no defense. I couldn't say the Cardinals are going to have the worst defense because that's going to be
that's the Panthers. They're fucking terrible.
Though the Patriots could be trying to vie for that too. That whole team is terrible.
My last bold prediction, which it doesn't feel bold based on the 17 game schedule, but it hasn't happened yet, and I feel like it should have. Michael Strahan's fucking sack record is going down this year. I don't know who's going to do it. Somebody's going over 22 and a half. JJ Watt, I believe, tied it.
Mm-hmm.
That record is going down.
TJ,
Somebody is
one of the Watts.
It was not TJ. Well, maybe it was. Fuck, I don't remember. I don't remember which Watt it was. That record is going down. Somebody's getting 23 or plus. That record finally goes down. 17 games. The offensive line play has been not great, especially tackle play. And as we are seeing these tackles age out, we have not had a huge influx of really good tackle talent that I have seen across the league. So I think that record's going down this year.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. I could absolutely see that happening. All right, man. That's our bold predictions. That's our outlook for the season. All right. So if you guys hadn't been tuning in recently, I know we got a lot of people viewing right now, and we really, really appreciate that.
Right.
We hope you stick with us through the season. These shows that we're doing right now, this is normally going to be a Tuesday show. We're going to be doing a Tuesday show where we do predictions for the Thursday night game, which we're going to get to here in just a second. But we also are going to be going over our picks from the last week and things that happened in the last week of football. And then on Sunday mornings, we are going to do our main show where we go over every single game, minus the Thursday night game for the week, give our predictions on the over-unders, things like that. It's going to be happening. That's going to be our big bread and butter show for sure. So we hope that you come check us out and stick with us. And if you could, like, share, subscribe to our channels. We love having everyone here. It's awesome. A lot of interaction today. It's been great for us. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look at our Thursday night game because here in less than 4 days, we have football.
Yeah, for sure. The game will be not close to over at this point. It'll be about halftime at this fucking time.
Yeah.
You're on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. We have the Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, it's been a while since we've done this. Ravens at the Chiefs.
Oh, man, I'm fucking pumped.
A spread with the Chiefs -3. Ravens +3. Over under of 46.5 points. We're doing spreads this year, baby.
That's right.
Mike, who you got winning this game?
Who I have winning this game? I have the Chiefs winning this game.
Well, are you taking or dropping the points?
Now we're having a different conversation because I expect that this game will be probably pretty closely contested. 3 points right on the button I don't love. Doesn't feel good in week one. Having game one, I don't even get a hook anywhere. I got 3 points straight up. I don't love that. The Chiefs play close games. But I got to take the Chiefs. I think I might get a push here. I expect this to be a very, very close game. I got the Chiefs. I will drop the 3. Maybe they win by 4. But since we are not doing money lines this year, we are only going spreads. I'm taking the Chiefs to cover the 3. Evo, where are you going?
I'm going to go with my prediction that I had on my little Excel sheet when I did all 272 games. I got the Ravens winning this game, so I'm taking the Ravens plus the 3 points. And I would have them win this one outright.
I took the Chiefs in this game. So
if you want to do money line as well, we're not tracking that. But if you want to do money line, you can take the money line plus 128 right now on FanDuel. Also, over under 46.5 points. This is another little freebie. I would be going with the over on this one. I think that both teams could easily put up around 23 to 25 points, which would hit that over.
All right. So that's tough for me, man. Week 1 offenses are pretty low scoring typically in the NFL.
True.
46.5. 47's not a ton. 27-20. You're there. But that's a pretty good clip for 2 really good teams in week 1. But 2 offensive teams that could really score. For me, I'm staying away from that over under. I think that number is right there. 47 might be the number. And that I don't like that as much. I don't love dropping the 115 it drops to, I believe there with FanDuel.
For the over.
For the over. I would stay away from that. I don't want to talk about any of the actually, you know what? Do we want to do any props in this game? Do we want to props?
I might get the gambling fever, 15 minutes before the game and start looking through them, but I haven't fucking perused at all. We still got a couple days.
We do still have a couple of days. But if you do like the over, Pat Mahomes' total yards are 258. Take the over on the yards. If you like the over in the game, Pat's going to throw for some yards. Rashee Rice is going to have a big day. There are some additional weapons. Their running back group is not great. It's going to be a lot of Pat. So if you like the over, take the over on the Pat Mahomes passing yards. If you're looking for a prop, but that's where I'm on that, man. I'm rocking with the Chiefs because that's where I went in my picks.
Right. Cool. Mike is dropping the 3 points. I'm taking the 3 points for the Ravens. That is our Thursday night football prediction for game 1 of the NFL season, ladies and gentlemen. It's right around the corner. It's fucking awesome. Got anything else to go over, buddy?
I'm good, brother.
Right.
Picks are started. Show is up new. We got all the new shit going underneath everywhere that people can watch us. We did 2 shows tonight. I'm fucking tired. I got class tomorrow. So, brother, I got nothing else but appreciation for you and all the things that you do and everybody that tuned in and rocked with us tonight. So,
yeah, again, look, if you could just take a half second. You've already taken a whole bunch of time out of your day to come watch us. Please go to any one of these channels that you see down below, our X page, Facebook, TikTok, or this YouTube page. Like, subscribe, give us a little bit of love. We'd really appreciate it. And look, we're the Lineman Lounge. We're coming to you being presented by the No Sleeves Network. Mike and I are both part of the No Sleeves Network. If you want to go check our stuff out on the No Sleeves Network, we got the QR code up here in the middle of the screen. Go ahead, grab that. Check out our website. Check out all the members of the No Sleeves Network and all the different channels that we got. We are veterans. We are a veteran group. We are putting out content as much as we can and trying to build and do things great and be a part of our community. So please take a moment, if you will, snap that QR code, go check us out. We would really appreciate it. But other than that, man, it's been a long day. We got football right around the corner.
Hell yeah.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Dude, me too. I am appreciative of you. I'm ready to rock into another season. Nothing but spreads on the bets this year. We're going hopefully over at least 55% so we can make the people quite a bit of money. If we can hit our numbers of the past, we're going to get a name real quick. But, man, thank you. Thank everybody out there for watching. Anytime that you spend time with us, we cannot thank you enough. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime you give some of it to us, we cannot thank you enough. But with that, we're going to get out of here. I'm Mike. That is Evo. Go to any one of those pages below and you can find our content, or go to any podcast platform and you can check us out there. But with that, we're going to get the fuck out of here. Evo, give the people one last word.
Don't sleep on Sam Darnold.
Don't sleep on Sam. Oh, Jesus Christ. We're going to have to get Evo off the Kool-Aid before the season starts. But, guys, we're going to get out of here. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge. We're getting the fuck out of here. We'll see you on
Sunday.
But till then, see you.